You're born in the 14th century France. Not into wealth, not into poverty, just into a family that everyone pretends doesn't exist. Your mother keeps the house. Your father, he's gone most days, comes home late, smells like iron and sweat. Nobody tells you why. Nobody tells you anything. You're 3 years old, playing with a wooden horse your father carved, when your mother finally takes you into town. You're excited. You've been cooped up in that house forever. And finally, you get to see the world. Except the world doesn't want to see you. The moment you step into the market, people stare. Not curious stares, hostile ones. A woman spits at your mother's feet. A man pulls his daughter away like you're diseased. Someone mutters, "Executioner's spawn." You don't know what that means, but the way your mother grabs your hand and drags you home, you know it's bad. That night, you ask your father what an executioner is. He looks at you for a long time. Then he takes you outside, to the shed behind the house. Inside, hanging on the walls, are axes, swords, ropes, all stained dark. "This is what I do," he says quietly. "I kill people. For the king, for the city. And one day, you will too." You're 3 years old. You don't understand, but you will. Childhood isn't really childhood for you. While other kids play in the streets, you're stuck at home. Your mother won't let you outside unless absolutely necessary. "People don't like us," she says. "It's safer here." You watch other children through the window, laughing, running, living. You're lonely. So lonely it hurts.
Hold
Your
it
father
gently
tries to
like
make it better.
this.
He teaches you to read, to write, to carve wood.
Oh,
He's patient,
I see.
kind even. Nothing like the monster people say he is. But every few days, he leaves before dawn and comes back at dusk. Silent, haunted. You start to notice the pattern. Execution days. On those days, your mother is quieter. Your father drinks more. And the house feels heavier, like the walls themselves are holding their breath. One evening, when you're 7, you sneak out. You follow the crowd to the town square. You push through legs and skirts until you see it. The platform, the block, and your father, standing there in a black hood, axe in hand. A man kneels before him, weeping, begging. Your father doesn't hesitate. The axe falls. Blood sprays. The head rolls. The crowd erupts, some cheer, some gasp, some turn away. You stand there, frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. Your father spots you in the crowd. His eyes widen. Later, at home, he doesn't yell. He just sits you down and says, "You weren't supposed to see that yet." "Why do you do it?" you ask, voice shaking. "Because it's my job. Because my father did it. And his father before him. Because nobody else will." "I don't want to do it," you whisper. He looks at you with such sadness.
We miss her,
"Neither did I.
don't we?
You're 12 now, and the training begins. Not because you want it, because you have no choice. Your father sits you down one morning and says, 'It's time.' You know what he means. You've known this was coming. Doesn't make it easier. First, you learn to care for the tools. Sharpening blades, oiling metal, testing rope strength.
This
It's
is the elbow
monotonous,
joint,
but safe.
and this is
You can
where it
handle
connects.
Then comes anatomy. Your father brings you to the morgue where unclaimed bodies are kept. He shows you where to cut, how deep, which angles work best. You need to know the body, he says, slicing open a cadaver's chest like he's teaching you to butcher a pig. One clean strike, that's mercy. Anything less is torture. You throw up twice during that first lesson. He doesn't comfort you. Just hands you a rag and says, "You'll get used to it." You hate that he's right. 6 months in, your father takes you to your first live execution. "Just watch," he says. "Don't look away." A thief is brought out, maybe 20 years old, hands bound. He's crying, begging the crowd for mercy. Nobody answers. Your father positions him at the block, raises the sword, brings it down. One clean strike, just like he taught you. The body slumps. The head rolls into a basket. The crowd disperses like nothing happened. You stand there, legs shaking, stomach churning. That night, you can't sleep. You see the thief's face every time you close your eyes. Hear his voice, begging. Your father finds you in the kitchen at midnight, staring at nothing. "It doesn't get easier," he says quietly. "But you learn to carry it." "How?" He pours himself a drink. You just do. Because the alternative is starvation. You're 14, and your training intensifies. Your father starts bringing you to interrogations, torture sessions. Executioners don't just kill, he explains. We extract confessions. We enforce the law. You watch him break a man's fingers one by one until he confesses to theft. The man is probably innocent. You can see it in his eyes. But your father doesn't stop until he gets the words the bailiff wants to hear. Later you ask, what if he didn't do it? Your father's jaw tightens. Then God will sort it out. You start learning the techniques, the rack, thumb screws, the strappado, how much pain a body can take before it breaks, how to keep someone conscious through agony. You hate every second. But your hands learn anyway. Muscle memory doesn't care about morality. One day the bailiff tells your father to let you try. There's a woman accused of witchcraft. Probably just a healer who pissed off the wrong nobleman's wife. Your father hands you the pliers. Her teeth, he says, until she confesses. You look at the woman. She's terrified, tears streaming down her face. You look at your father. He nods. You do it. She screams. You extract 3 teeth before she confesses to things she never did. That night, you vomit until there's nothing left. Your father finds you in the barn, hands still shaking. I know, is all he says. And somehow, that's worse than if he'd yelled. You're 16, and it's time for your first public execution. Your father announces it at dinner like he's telling you to fetch water. Tomorrow, a murderer. You'll do it. You barely sleep. When dawn comes, you dress in the black cloak, not to hide your identity. Everyone knows who you are, but because it's tradition. The executioner wears black. Death wears black. You walk to the town square, and hundreds of people are already there, waiting, watching, judging. The condemned is brought out, a man who killed his neighbor over a land dispute. He's maybe 30, built solid, and he's not crying, just staring at you with resignation. Your father stands beside you, close enough to take over if you freeze, but he won't. This is your test. The bailiff reads the sentence. The priest gives last rites. Then it's just you, the man, and the sword. You raise the blade. It's heavier than during practice. Everything is heavier. The man closes his eyes. You swing. One clean strike. The head falls. The crowd gasps and cheer. Most just stare. You stand there, blood on your hands, and realize this is your life now. No going back. Your father retires when you're 18. You're ready, he says. You're not, but ready doesn't matter. The city needs an executioner, and you're it. The work comes steady. Thieves, murderers, heretics, adulterers, sometimes deserters from the Lord's army. You kill them all, efficiently, professionally. People start calling you the butcher. Not as an insult, well, it is an insult, but also as recognition. You're good at this, disturbingly good. You hate that you're good at it. The money is decent. You're paid per execution. Plus, you're allowed to claim the belongings of the condemned. Their clothes, their possessions. You sell most of it quietly. But sometimes, you keep things. A nice coat, a pair of boots. One day, you're wearing a dead man's jacket in the market, and a woman recognizes it. Starts screaming. That's my husband's. You killed him, and now you're wearing his clothes. Guards drag her away. But the damage is done. People look at you like you're a grave robber. Which, technically, you are. But it's legal grave robbery, so that makes it fine. Right? You're 22, and loneliness is killing you slower than any blade ever could. You've tried to make friends. It never works. Tavern keepers serve you, but conversations die fast. Women avoid your gaze. Even prostitutes charge you extra blood money, they call it. One evening, you meet someone. A woman, maybe a year younger, working at a brothel on the city's edge. She doesn't flinch when you tell her what you do. We're both selling ourselves, she says with a bitter smile. Just different parts. Her name is Marie. You start visiting regularly, not for sex, but for conversation. For someone who doesn't look at you like you're cursed. Eventually, you ask her to marry you. She laughs at first, then realizes you're serious. You know what people will say, she warns. Let them talk. The wedding is small. Your parents, her madam, who's the closest thing she has to family. No priest they refuse to perform the ceremony. You find a traveling friar who agrees for triple the usual fee. You don't care. For the first time in your life, someone chose you. Not because they had to, because they wanted to. You move into a small house on the city's outskirts, far from judgment, close to nothing. It's perfect. Years pass. You're 30 now, and you've killed maybe 200 people. You stopped counting after 150. The faces blur together except the ones that don't, the innocent ones. You know they were innocent, confessed under torture, convicted by prejudice, executed by you. Those faces stay sharp. Those names you remember. Marie gives birth to a son, then a daughter. You hold them and feel something you haven't felt in years. Hope. Maybe they can escape this. Maybe they can be something else. But deep down, you know, your son is watching you, asking questions. Papa, where do you go? Papa, why do people look at us like that? He's 8 now, old enough to understand, old enough to start training. You hate yourself for what you're about to do, but you have no choice. Nobody will hire an executioner's son. No apprenticeships, no guilds, no future except the one you carve for him with a blade. You're 35, and your body is breaking down. Your shoulders ache from decades of swinging axes and swords. Your hands shake sometimes, just slightly, but enough to notice, enough to worry. In this job, one mistake means everything. Miss the neck, hit the shoulder, and the condemned suffers. The crowd turns. Your reputation crumbles, and reputation is all you have. Your son is 12 now. You've started his training just like your father started yours. He hates it, just like you did. But he learns, because he has to. One evening, he asks, Papa, did you want this life?
You understand
you look at him,
what this
this
means.
boy who has your eyes and your curse,
think so.
and you tell him the truth. No, but I survived it, and so will you. It's not comfort, it's just fact. Your daughter, 10 years old, asks why her brother has to learn the bad work. You don't have a good answer. Marie holds her close and says, because the world is unfair, and we do what we must. That night, you drink more than usual. Marie finds you in the barn, staring at the old execution tools your father left behind. You're not a monster, she says quietly. I kill people for money, you reply. How is that not monstrous? Because you're doing what you have to do. For us, for them. She gestures toward the house where your children sleep. You want to believe her. But the faces of the dead don't agree. You're 43, and your hands shake too much now. You can still execute, but it's harder. Takes more focus, more effort. Your son is 20, fully trained, competent. It's time. You announce your retirement to the bailiff. He nods, unsurprised. Your son ready? He is. You pass on the tools, the techniques, the warnings. Don't let it consume you, you tell him. It will try. Every single day. He nods, solemn, already carrying the weight. You move to an even smaller house, deep in the woods, far from the city, far from the blood. Marie tends a garden. You carve wood, small things, animals, toys for grandchildren you hope will come someday. The nightmares don't stop. They never will. But they're quieter here, among the trees, away from the platform, the crowd, the screams. Your son visits once a month. He looks more tired each time, more hollow. You see yourself in him, and it breaks your heart. It gets easier, you lie. He nods, but you both know the truth. It doesn't get easier. You just get used to carrying the weight. You're 58 when you die. Not violently, just quietly in your sleep. Marie finds you in the morning, cold but peaceful. Your son arranges the burial. The priest refuses consecrated ground, so you're laid to rest in the executioner's plot outside town, where your father rests, and his father before him. A handful of people attend. Your son, your daughter, and her family. Marie, holding a single flower. Your son stands at the grave and says simply, he did what he had to do. No one argues, because it's true. You were born into this, trapped by blood and tradition, in a world that needed someone to kill, but refused to honor the killer. You survived. You endured. You carried 200 deaths on your shoulders until they bent your spine. And when you finally laid down that burden, you left it to your son, just as your father left it to you. The cycle continues. It always does. History won't remember your name. But in that small town, for a few generations, people will whisper about the executioner who carved toys for his grandchildren, who loved his wife fiercely, who hated his work, but did it anyway, because survival demanded it. You weren't a hero. You weren't a villain. You were just a man with an axe, trying to protect the people you loved in a world that gave you no other choice. And maybe, in the end, that's all any of us can do.